Got kind of a two-part tip for everyone here on setting up a project for applying a pattern before carving. The first part that I think applies to probably everyone would be to make sure you do all of your sanding before applying the pattern, especially around the edges of a item like this. I find that the edges on these plates and pretty much all of my projects can have pretty sharp corners and rough cuts around the edges. So making sure to actually get those in the shape that you want, get those smoothed out and rounded as you want. I usually round the edges a little bit to knock the corner off. And the reason I say to do that first, I'll kind of show you here why I started doing that. You can see in this project that I carved it first and then sanded all the edges afterwards. And you can see on the corners here that I kind of lost all margin between the carving and the corner on both sides there. And so after going through that, I realized I need to do all the sanding first, remove all the wood that I'm going to, then apply the pattern to make sure that I don't end up encroaching too much on the pattern that I'm going to carve. The second half of it is for people who use a pattern transfer like I do, printing it off on a laser printer and then using a heat tool to put it down onto the wood. That is to my method of that is I'll take a picture of the actual item I'm going to carve. Everything's a little bit different, and so getting an actual picture of the specific object and then on the computer creating the design and overlaying it to make sure that everything's exactly the right size and lines up the way that I want. And so you'll see this plate has the hand-drawn pattern on the outside, and I do that first because these are irregular enough that I can't just have a templated thing that I do. I have to do those by hand, plus they're too big to print online or on the computer. So I do those first, then I'll take the picture and figure out all the text and other design around this to make sure that it fits with the pattern that I've already got on here by hand. So making sure those things ahead of time definitely helps to make sure that you don't have interference with any sanding and your pattern, and then also making sure the different parts of it work well together.